Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to The English Globe, a place where we explain global issues using slow, clear, and friendly English so that learners from every country can improve their listening skills while understanding how world events shape the future of our international community. And today, we are beginning a deep, thoughtful, and educational journey into a subject that is becoming increasingly important as more people around the world are asking whether Brazil, a country known for its large population, rich natural resources, and growing economy, is slowly becoming South America's next major military power.
Before we begin this detailed discussion, we warmly invite you to like this video if you enjoy long educational podcasts where we speak softly, explain ideas step by step, and guide you through complex international topics in a calm and simple way, because your support helps our channel grow, reach more learners, and produce more helpful lessons that connect English learning with clear explanations of global news so that you can expand your vocabulary and strengthen your listening comprehension with confidence.
We also encourage you to subscribe to The English Globe, because subscribing makes it easier for you to find our daily English learning podcasts, and it helps you stay connected to content that is made especially for learners who sometimes feel stressed or confused when trying to understand international news in fast English. But here we slow everything down, remove unnecessary details, and present global issues in a warm and comfortable style that you can follow at your own rhythm.
We would also love to know where you are listening from, so please write the name of your country or city in the comments, because we have wonderful listeners from Asia, Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and the Americas. And when you share your location, it inspires us to design new lessons that match the interests, backgrounds, and goals of our global community, helping us understand what topics are most useful for your English learning journey.
You can also share your thoughts about today's topic in the comments, because expressing your opinion is an excellent way to practice real English communication. And when you write your ideas, you naturally improve your sentence-building skills, your vocabulary, and your confidence, which is very important for students, workers, travelers, and anyone who wants to communicate better in international situations.
Now today's topic is Brazil becoming South America's next military superpower? And we chose this subject not to promote any political view or take any side, but to give English learners a safe, simple, and balanced educational overview of a major issue in current world news, helping you understand important vocabulary related to geography, defense, regional cooperation, economic development, and peaceful international relations.
This topic is especially important because Brazil is appearing more frequently in newspapers, political reports, international military analyses, and global economic conversations, especially when experts talk about modernization projects, defense partnerships, new military technology, and the changing balance of power in South America. And many English learners find these subjects difficult to understand when they are explained in complicated language, so in this episode we will simplify everything in a respectful and educational way.
Another reason this topic matters is that Brazil is the largest country in South America by size and population, and it plays a major role in regional stability, economic development, and security cooperation, which means that any change in Brazil's military planning or defense goals often becomes important to its neighbors and to international partners, making this a valuable topic for learners who want to build vocabulary related to global affairs, international relations, and strategic communication.
Even though the subject of military power can be complex, our purpose today is not to compare countries or create political arguments, but to explain how analysts study trends, how governments make peaceful defense decisions, and how international cooperation helps maintain stability in different regions, because understanding these ideas can help English learners discuss world news more confidently in their classrooms, workplaces, or conversations with friends.
Throughout this episode, we will guide you through Brazil's geography, military budget, army strength, navy power, air force development, defense industry, regional influence, and the challenges the country still faces. and we will explain all of these ideas in slow, beginner-friendly English so you can follow every detail without feeling overwhelmed by expert vocabulary or complex political terms.
So as we begin our first section together, we invite you once again to like the video, subscribe to the English Globe, and share your location or your thoughts in the comments, because your support motivates us to continue creating long, calm, and educational English learning podcasts that connect real-world events with simple explanations designed to help you improve step by step on your English learning journey. As we move deeper into today's topic, it is important to understand that geography plays a major role in shaping any country's long-term strategy, and Brazil is an excellent example of how size, location, and natural features can influence national decisions, because Brazil is not only the largest country in South America, but also one of the largest nations in the entire world, stretching across an enormous area that includes dense rainforests, powerful rivers, wide-open plains, major cities, and long coastal regions that connect the country to international trade routes and global maritime activity.
Brazil shares land borders with almost every country in South America except Chile and Ecuador. And this geographic reality gives Brazil a unique position in the region because it naturally becomes a central point for trade, diplomacy, transportation, and security cooperation, meaning that any issue affecting its neighbors can quickly become important for Brazil as well, which is why analysts often describe Brazil as a continental-sized power that plays a stabilizing role in South America's political, economic, and security environment.
One of the most important geographic features of Brazil is the Amazon rainforest, which is not only the largest rainforest in the world, but also one of the most biodiverse natural regions on the planet. And this vast area presents both opportunities and challenges for Brazil's military, because protecting such a large and remote environment requires strong logistics, advanced technology, and specialized units trained to operate in complex jungle conditions where transportation is difficult and communication systems must be carefully planned.
Brazil also has an extremely long Atlantic coastline that stretches more than 7,000 kilometers, giving the country access to important sea routes used by international ships, energy companies, and global trade networks. And this coastal position increases the importance of Brazil's navy, because any country with such a long coastline must pay attention to maritime security, port protection, environmental monitoring, and the peaceful use of offshore natural resources such as oil fields located deep under the ocean.
In addition to its coastline, Brazil is rich in natural resources including iron ore, oil, natural gas, fresh water, agricultural land, and minerals used in modern industries, and these natural resources are a major part of the country's economy, which means they must be protected through long-term planning and effective national security strategies, because resources attract international investment, support large industries, and play an important role in ensuring that Brazil maintains economic strength in a rapidly changing world.
Because of its enormous size and diverse landscapes, Brazil must think carefully about how to move military personnel across the country during emergencies, natural disasters, or regional tensions. And this is why transportation networks such as highways, rivers, air routes, and jungle paths become extremely important, since moving people, equipment, and supplies over long distances requires strong coordination, planning, and the development of modern infrastructure that can support both civilian needs and national security requirements.
Another key geographic factor is that Brazil faces both land-based and maritime challenges, which means its military must be prepared for very different types of operations, including border protection in remote areas, naval patrols along the Atlantic, and environmental monitoring in the Amazon. And this combination of responsibilities has shaped Brazil's long-term defense strategy, encouraging the country to develop specialized units and technologies that match the geographic conditions of each region.
When analysts talk about Brazil becoming a potential regional power, geography is always part of the conversation, because a country with a large population, wide territory, and strategic location naturally gains influence over time, especially if it uses its geography to develop strong economic sectors, build transportation networks, maintain stable borders, and participate in peaceful cooperation with neighboring countries, which is why size and location become powerful tools for countries that want to play a leadership role in their region.
To understand why size matters, think about how smaller countries often depend on larger neighbors for trade routes, energy supplies, and regional stability, while larger countries like Brazil can influence the movement of goods, the direction of regional cooperation, and even the climate and environmental policies that affect an entire continent, meaning that Brazil's size gives it opportunities to guide peaceful development in South America, while also strengthening its own national interests.
Another reason size is important is that a large country usually has a higher population, more natural resources, and greater economic potential, which can support stronger military development when managed responsibly. And Brazil, with its more than 200 million people and vast supply of natural wealth, has the foundation needed to build a modern defense system that focuses on peaceful protection, disaster response, border stability, and cooperation with friendly nations across the region.
This geographic advantage also means that Brazil becomes a natural partner for countries that want to improve trade, security, and diplomatic relations within South America. And Brazil often plays a leadership role in regional organizations and international groups because its size, location, and resources give it the ability to contribute meaningfully to conversations about peace, environmental protection, sustainable development, and economic growth.
So when people ask whether Brazil might become South America's next major military power, geography is one of the first things experts study, because a country that controls such a large territory, maintains so many borders, and manages such extensive natural resources naturally develops a strategic role in its region. And Brazil's unique position gives it both responsibilities and opportunities that shape its long-term actions on the international stage.
As we continue exploring whether Brazil is becoming South America's next major military power, it is important to understand how defense spending works, because a country's military budget tells us not only how much money is being used for security, but also how committed that country is to modernizing equipment, improving training, and investing in long-term stability. And Brazil's defense spending reveals a story of gradual, steady development shaped by economic pressures, regional responsibilities, and a desire to strengthen peaceful national protection without entering into unnecessary competition.
Brazil currently has one of the highest military budgets in South America, and this is not surprising when we consider the country's size, population, geographic challenges, and the need to protect long borders, important waterways, and critical natural resources. And while Brazil's defense spending is significant, it is still moderate compared to major global powers, meaning that Brazil focuses more on modernization, domestic production, and regional stability rather than on building an aggressive or globally dominant military structure.
One of the reasons analysts pay attention to Brazil's military budget is that it remains consistently higher than the defense budgets of many neighboring countries, which shows that Brazil is investing in maintaining a capable and well-organized defense force, and this steady investment helps the country update its equipment, improve communication systems, develop new technologies, and train its soldiers, sailors, and pilots in ways that match modern challenges such as border protection, disaster response, environmental monitoring, and international peacekeeping missions.
Even though Brazil's economy has experienced ups and downs in recent years, the country has continued to invest in key defense programs, including the modernization of its air force, the development of new naval vessels, and the improvement of armored vehicles for the army. And these projects show that Brazil's long-term strategy is focused on building a military that is strong enough to protect its national interests while also supporting peaceful cooperation with allies across South America.
It is also important to understand that Brazil's defense spending is not just about buying equipment from other countries, because Brazil has its own domestic defense industry that produces aircraft, vehicles, communication systems, and advanced technology, and this domestic production plays a major role in Brazil's economy by creating jobs, supporting innovation, and reducing the country's dependence on foreign suppliers, which helps Brazil maintain greater autonomy over its long-term security plans.
One of the most well-known examples of Brazil's domestic defense capability is the Embraer company, which is famous for producing commercial aircraft, but also plays an important role in developing military planes, including modern transport aircraft and advanced light attack jets. And this ability to design and manufacture its own equipment strengthens Brazil's position as a regional leader because it can meet many of its defense needs using local knowledge and technology.
When we compare Brazil's military budget with those of other South American countries, it becomes clear that Brazil consistently spends more than most of its neighbors, including Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Colombia, not because Brazil wants to dominate the region, but because the country's geographic size, population, and economic responsibilities require a larger security structure, and this naturally places Brazil in a leadership position when it comes to regional defense cooperation, humanitarian missions, and joint training exercises with partner nations.
Another important point is that Brazil invests heavily in modernization programs designed to upgrade old equipment and replace outdated systems with more efficient and technologically advanced solutions, which is necessary for a country that has such a large territory to protect. Because modern equipment helps the military operate more effectively in remote areas where transportation, communication, and weather conditions can be difficult, especially in regions like the Amazon rainforest and along the Atlantic coastline.
Brazil is also investing in the development of submarines, including a long-term program that involves building both conventional and advanced models, and while this does not mean Brazil is preparing for conflict, it does show that the country is expanding its ability to protect offshore resources, monitor maritime activity, and contribute to regional security efforts, which is important for a nation that depends heavily on coastal trade and offshore energy exploration.
At the same time, Brazil continues to spend money on improving the training and welfare of its military personnel, because a strong defense system is not only about equipment, but also about the people who operate it. And Brazil's commitment to training programs, peacekeeping missions, and international cooperation shows that the country wants to develop a professional, disciplined, and well-prepared force capable of responding to a wide range of situations, including natural disasters and humanitarian emergencies.
Although Brazil is investing steadily in its military, it is important to remember that the country's goal is not to create unnecessary tension or to compete aggressively with other nations, but rather to strengthen its ability to protect borders, maintain stability, support regional peace, and contribute positively to international efforts that promote cooperation, security, and sustainability across South America and beyond.
So when we look at Brazil's defense spending and modernization programs, we see a country that is thoughtfully investing in long-term development, carefully balancing its economic responsibilities with its security needs, and using its resources to build a military that is capable, modern, and focused on peaceful protection, which is one of the reasons analysts continue to ask whether Brazil is gradually becoming South America's next major military power.
As we move into this section, it is important to understand that the Brazilian army is not only the largest branch of the country's armed forces, but also one of the largest and most active military institutions in all of South America, and its size, responsibilities, and modernization efforts give us valuable insight into how Brazil is shaping its future defense strategy, because an army of this scale plays a major role in maintaining border security, supporting national development, and responding to emergencies across a territory that stretches across many different landscapes and climates.
Brazil's army includes hundreds of thousands of active duty personnel, and this large number of troops reflects the reality of protecting a giant landmass that contains long borders with many neighboring countries, dense forests, open plains, and remote regions that require regular patrols and specialized training. And because Brazil must operate in such a wide variety of environments, the Army has developed units that focus on jungle operations, mountain missions, mechanized mobility, and rapid response, allowing them to work effectively in almost any part of the country.
One of the most notable features of the Brazilian Army is its long history of operating in the Amazon rainforest, which is one of the most difficult environments in the world for military activity, and Brazil has created specialized jungle brigades trained to navigate rivers, manage survival operations, and conduct missions in areas where regular vehicles cannot travel. And these units have become internationally recognized for their advanced skills, with soldiers from other countries even traveling to Brazil to receive training in Amazon operations.
The Army's equipment includes armored vehicles, artillery systems, transport trucks, communication technology, and a wide range of small arms. But like many countries, Brazil has been working to modernize its older equipment so that its forces can operate more efficiently in today's rapidly changing technological world. And modernization is especially important for a country that faces both natural challenges, such as floods and wildfires, and security responsibilities, such as protecting borders, supporting local authorities, and participating in peacekeeping missions.
One of the major modernization programs underway involves Brazil's mechanized units, which use armored vehicles to move quickly across difficult terrain. And Brazil has been working with domestic companies to upgrade these vehicles, improve their armor protection, and integrate better communication systems, because modern military operations require troops to stay connected across long distances, especially in areas where forests, mountains, or remote landscapes can make communication more challenging.
Brazil also invests heavily in domestic defense production, meaning the country develops and manufactures many of its own military tools rather than depending completely on foreign suppliers. And this domestic production includes light armored vehicles, artillery systems, drones, communication equipment, and advanced technology designed to meet the specific needs of Brazil's geography. And this approach gives Brazil more freedom to plan long-term modernization programs without being limited by external political or economic pressures.
In addition to vehicles and artillery, Brazil has also been updating its digital technology, because modern armies must be able to process information quickly, protect communication channels, and react to new forms of security challenges such as cyber threats. And Brazil's defense planners understand that having strong digital infrastructure is just as important as having strong physical equipment, especially for coordinating operations across a country as large as Brazil.
The Brazilian Army has also been strengthening its training programs to make sure soldiers can work effectively with new technologies and modern equipment. And this includes programs focused on leadership development, advanced navigation skills, engineering support, disaster response, and cooperation with other branches of the military. Because modern defense requires teamwork between land forces, air units, naval teams, and communication specialists, all working together to protect national security and assist the population during emergencies.
Another important element of Brazil's modernization strategy is its focus on sustainability and environmental protection, especially in the Amazon region, where the Army conducts regular patrols to protect the forest, support local communities, and assist environmental agencies. And these responsibilities show that the Brazilian Army is not only focused on traditional military tasks, but also on safeguarding natural resources and contributing to national development in peaceful and constructive ways.
In terms of international cooperation, Brazil often participates in joint training exercises with other countries, which helps the Army learn new skills, improve its operational standards, and strengthen diplomatic relationships across the region. And these exercises demonstrate that Brazil aims to improve its capabilities through peaceful collaboration rather than confrontation. And this approach reinforces the idea that Brazil's modernization efforts are designed to maintain stability rather than escalate regional tensions.
When analysts consider whether Brazil is becoming a regional military power, They often point to the Army's large size, its specialized jungle units, its domestic production capabilities, and its ongoing modernization programs, all of which show that Brazil is developing a strong, flexible, and professional defense system capable of responding to many different challenges across its territory, while still focusing on cooperation, development, and peaceful protection.
So when we look at Brazil's army today, we see a force that is not only large, but also evolving, improving, and preparing for the future through modernization, technology upgrades, and a commitment to responsible national defense. And this combination of size, experience, and forward-thinking strategy is one of the reasons people continue to ask whether Brazil is on the path to becoming South America's next major military power.
As we continue our discussion about Brazil's growing military potential, it is essential to focus on the Brazilian Navy, which plays a critical role in the country's defense strategy, because Brazil has a long Atlantic coastline and access to important maritime trade routes, offshore energy reserves, and strategic waters in the South Atlantic. And the Navy's ability to operate far from home is a key factor in protecting national interests, supporting regional stability, and contributing to global maritime security in ways that go beyond the country's borders.
The Brazilian Navy is considered one of the most capable in South America, and it has been steadily developing its blue water capabilities, which means the ability to operate across deep oceans far from the coast, allowing Brazil to patrol large areas of the South Atlantic, participate in international exercises, and monitor maritime traffic. And these capabilities are important because they help protect trade routes, prevent illegal activities, and ensure the security of offshore oil platforms and other critical resources that contribute to the country's economy and energy independence.
One of the most notable aspects of Brazil's naval development is its investment in submarines, including both conventional diesel-electric models and advanced nuclear-powered designs. And these submarines are important for national defense because they allow Brazil to monitor vast stretches of ocean quietly, maintain control over strategic waters, and deter potential threats without relying solely on surface ships, while also demonstrating Brazil's commitment to maintaining technological and operational expertise in underwater operations.
Brazil's nuclear-powered submarine program is especially significant because it is the first of its kind in Latin America, and it reflects Brazil's ability to combine domestic scientific knowledge, engineering skills, and defense planning to produce highly advanced vessels capable of long-range missions, which shows that the country is thinking carefully about future challenges and investing in technologies that provide strategic advantages in maritime security while maintaining full respect for international law and peaceful cooperation.
The Navy also operates a variety of surface ships, including frigates, corvettes, patrol vessels, and support ships, which help protect coastal areas, conduct humanitarian assistance, and participate in international exercises, and these ships are modernized regularly to ensure that Brazil can respond to emergencies, environmental crises, and regional security challenges efficiently, while also supporting cooperative missions with other South American countries and international partners.
In addition to submarines and surface ships, Brazil has been exploring the potential of aircraft carriers, which can carry fighter jets, helicopters, and support aircraft that extend the Navy's reach far beyond the coastline, allowing Brazil to respond to threats, conduct surveillance, and contribute to peacekeeping operations across the South Atlantic and nearby waters. And the presence of such capabilities strengthens Brazil's strategic influence in a region that has become increasingly important for global trade, energy production, and international security.
Another important feature of Brazil's naval strategy is its focus on protecting offshore oil fields and other natural resources, which are crucial for the country's economy, because controlling and monitoring these areas prevents illegal fishing, environmental damage, and unauthorized access. And it ensures that Brazil can manage its energy resources sustainably while contributing to international maritime safety and maintaining peaceful cooperation with neighboring countries and global partners.
Brazil's Navy also participates in joint exercises and training missions with other nations, which helps improve interoperability, share knowledge, and strengthen diplomatic ties. Because learning from international partners allows Brazil to adopt new technologies, improve operational procedures, and develop strategies that are in line with global standards, which is especially important for a country that wants to project influence responsibly across the South Atlantic and demonstrate leadership in regional maritime affairs.
Geography plays a critical role in the Navy's responsibilities because Brazil's long coastline, wide river systems, and remote coastal islands create both opportunities and challenges, and the Navy must be prepared to respond to natural disasters, conduct rescue operations, patrol remote areas, and support local populations, showing that Brazil's naval forces are not only about defense, but also about humanitarian missions, environmental protection, and supporting the country's overall development and regional stability.
Finally, when analysts consider whether Brazil might become South America's next military power, they often highlight the Navy's growth, submarine program, blue water capability, and aircraft carrier development as key factors. Because a country that can project power responsibly across the oceans, protect critical resources, and cooperate internationally demonstrates both strategic vision and operational maturity, making the Navy a central element of Brazil's emerging influence in South America and the South Atlantic region.
As we continue our journey into Brazil's military development, it is essential to understand the capabilities of the Brazilian Air Force, because air power is a critical component of national defense, allowing the country to protect its vast territory, monitor borders, support Army and Navy operations, and respond quickly to emergencies or threats. And Brazil's Air Force combines modern technology, international partnerships, and ongoing modernization programs to ensure that it can operate efficiently across the continent, while also contributing to regional security and global cooperative missions in ways that strengthen the country's strategic influence and overall defense posture.
The Brazilian Air Force operates a mix of modern fighter jets, transport aircraft, helicopters, and surveillance planes, which together form a versatile and flexible force capable of addressing a wide variety of scenarios, and this combination allows the country to defend airspace, conduct humanitarian and disaster relief missions, support border security, and participate in joint exercises with other nations, ensuring that Brazil remains prepared for both traditional defense operations and emerging security challenges that require rapid response and effective coordination across multiple domains, including land, sea, and air.
Among the most important components of Brazil's air power are its fighter jets, which include the domestically produced Embraer A-29 Super Tucano and upgraded versions of older aircraft, as well as modern multi-role jets obtained through international partnerships. And these aircraft are designed to perform reconnaissance, air defense, and ground attack missions, providing Brazil with the ability to protect its airspace efficiently while also maintaining technological competence in the production and operation of aircraft that meet modern defense standards and support strategic goals in South America.
Brazil's partnerships with countries such as the United States, France, and Sweden have been particularly important in advancing the Air Force's capabilities, because these collaborations provide access to advanced technology, joint training programs, technical support, and knowledge sharing. And through these partnerships, Brazil can operate modern radar systems, integrate communication networks, upgrade avionics, and maintain interoperability with international forces, which enhances both national and regional security while ensuring that Brazil's Air Force remains a credible and capable institution in the South American context.
Upgrading air defense systems has also been a priority for Brazil, because protecting airspace is not only about having fighter jets, but also about having radar networks, early warning systems, anti-aircraft missiles, and command and control centers that allow the military to detect, track, and respond to potential threats efficiently. and Brazil has invested in modernizing these systems so that its air force can operate across the country's large territory, coordinate with other branches of the military, and maintain readiness in complex and challenging scenarios, including natural disasters, regional tensions, and international crises.
Brazil also invests in domestic production of military aircraft, which reduces dependence on foreign suppliers and allows for more control over long-term defense planning, because domestic production means the country can upgrade planes according to its specific geographic and strategic requirements, train pilots on local aircraft, and develop technology that can be adapted for future missions. And this approach supports national employment, technological innovation, and industrial growth, all while ensuring that the Air Force can meet the unique demands of operating over an enormous and diverse territory.
One of the challenges Brazil faces in air power is the country's vast size, which requires the Air Force to be capable of long-range missions, rapid deployment, and flexible response to emergencies, because with borders spanning thousands of kilometers, large regions of dense forest, extensive river networks, and long coastlines, maintaining surveillance and rapid reaction capability is critical, and modern aircraft, combined with advanced logistics planning and communication systems, enable Brazil to monitor airspace, support other branches of the military, and participate in regional exercises that strengthen its overall strategic position.
The Air Force also plays a significant role in humanitarian missions, disaster relief, and environmental protection, because Brazil frequently experiences natural events such as floods, wildfires, and severe storms, and the ability to quickly deploy aircraft, helicopters, and personnel allows the country to save lives, deliver essential supplies, and assist local communities in remote areas, demonstrating that Brazil's air power is not only about defense, but also about contributing to social welfare, national development, and the peaceful use of military resources in ways that align with international standards and ethical responsibilities.
Another important aspect of Brazil's air power is pilot training, because a well-equipped air force is only effective if it has highly skilled personnel capable of operating complex aircraft, managing air operations, and coordinating with other branches of the military, and Brazil invests heavily in pilot education, flight simulations, technical training, and international exchange programs, ensuring that its Air Force personnel are prepared for both domestic missions and collaborative operations with international partners, which strengthens regional cooperation, knowledge sharing, and operational efficiency.
Brazil also focuses on integrating modern surveillance technology, unmanned aerial vehicles, and advanced sensors into its air operations, because contemporary security requires real-time information, rapid decision-making, and efficient coordination between land, air, and naval forces, and these investments allow Brazil to monitor remote areas, detect potential threats early, and respond effectively, which is particularly important for protecting the Amazon region, the extensive coastline, and other critical strategic areas where timely information can make the difference between success and failure in national defense and humanitarian efforts.
In addition to technological upgrades, Brazil emphasizes international cooperation in air defense exercises, which include partnerships with countries across the Americas and Europe, because practicing combined operations helps Brazil understand global standards, improve tactics, enhance communication, and develop strategies that can be applied both domestically and regionally. And these exercises also allow Brazil to strengthen diplomatic ties, demonstrate peaceful intentions, and show that its air force is prepared to act responsibly in ways that support both national and regional stability.
Finally, when analysts evaluate whether Brazil could become South America's next military power, they often highlight the Air Force's modernization, pilot training, advanced fighter jets, international partnerships, and integrated air defense systems, because air power is a critical element of overall military strength, and a well-equipped, well-trained, and technologically advanced air force provides Brazil with the capability to monitor its territory, protect borders, respond to emergencies, cooperate internationally, and project influence responsibly across the continent.
Therefore, Brazil's Air Force today is not only a symbol of military capability, but also a demonstration of careful planning, technological investment, and commitment to peaceful and strategic operations. And as we continue exploring Brazil's military potential, it becomes clear that air power plays a central role in shaping the country's regional influence, supporting national security, and preparing the nation to meet future challenges in a responsible, effective, and professional manner that aligns with both domestic needs and international expectations. As we continue examining Brazil's military development, it is important to understand that a country's defense industry is a critical part of its national security strategy because it provides the tools, technology, and expertise necessary for the Army, Navy, and Air Force to operate effectively, and it allows a nation to maintain independence in defense matters, reduce reliance on foreign suppliers, and plan long-term strategies that fit its unique geographic, economic, and political conditions. And Brazil's growing defense industry has become a key factor in increasing its regional and international influence.
Brazil's domestic defense industry is one of the most advanced in South America, producing a wide range of equipment, including aircraft, armored vehicles, naval vessels, submarines, artillery systems, communication tools, and modern surveillance technology. And this domestic production is important not only for national security, but also for economic development, because it creates thousands of jobs, supports innovation, strengthens local scientific research, and allows Brazil to maintain a high level of technological autonomy in areas critical to national defense and strategic planning.
One of the most well-known examples of Brazil's defense industry is Embraer, which produces commercial aircraft as well as military planes, including the AA-29 Super Tucano and other light attack and training aircraft. And Embraer's success demonstrates that Brazil can combine industrial expertise with military needs to produce high-quality, technologically advanced equipment that meets the country's strategic requirements, while also opening opportunities for international exports and partnerships that enhance Brazil's reputation as a technologically capable and innovative defense producer.
In addition to aircraft, Brazil has invested heavily in naval shipbuilding through companies such as the Brazilian Naval Company, which constructs frigates, corvettes, and submarines, including the nuclear-powered submarine program, which is the first in Latin America. And this domestic production allows Brazil to maintain operational control over its fleet, adapt technology to local conditions, and ensure that the country can maintain readiness without being fully dependent on foreign suppliers, which strengthens national security, sovereignty, and the ability to act independently when necessary.
Brazil also focuses on armored vehicles, artillery, drones, and other high-tech systems produced locally, and the country has consistently modernized its military hardware through domestic research and engineering projects, which gives the armed forces the ability to operate with technology tailored to Brazil's geographic challenges, such as dense forests, mountainous terrain, and long coastlines, and this capability makes the country more resilient and self-sufficient, reducing the risk of dependency on international suppliers in times of political or economic uncertainty.
Another key aspect of Brazil's defense strategy is its partnerships with international allies, including the United States, France, Sweden, and other countries, because these relationships allow Brazil to acquire advanced technology, share expertise, engage in joint exercises, and learn from global best practices. And by combining domestic production with international cooperation, Brazil ensures that it has access to the latest developments while maintaining control over critical systems, which increases its autonomy, flexibility, and credibility on the global stage.
For example, Brazil has worked with France on submarine technology, learning valuable techniques for constructing advanced vessels, and with Sweden, it has collaborated on radar systems and aircraft upgrades, while partnerships with the United States provide access to specialized equipment, technical training, and operational experience. and these collaborations help Brazil integrate international standards, improve interoperability, and maintain a modern defense structure capable of addressing regional and global security challenges.
Brazil also benefits from technology transfers in these partnerships, which allow domestic companies to adopt new innovations, improve production processes, and develop equipment that meets both military and industrial standards. And this is critical because technology transfer not only strengthens the defense industry, but also ensures that Brazil can continue upgrading its armed forces independently, while simultaneously preparing to export advanced equipment to other countries, generating economic growth and international recognition.
Exporting military equipment has become another important goal for Brazil, because selling domestically produced aircraft, naval vessels, and vehicles to other countries allows Brazil to generate revenue, strengthen diplomatic relationships, and demonstrate its capability as a reliable and technologically advanced partner in defense matters. And these exports also highlight Brazil's growing influence in international defense markets and its ability to participate meaningfully in global security discussions without compromising national autonomy or operational independence.
Moreover, Brazil's growing defense industry contributes to scientific research, technological innovation, and workforce development, because engineers, technicians, and scientists are trained to design and produce high-quality military equipment, operate advanced systems, and solve complex problems in real-world conditions. And this continuous development ensures that the country maintains a skilled and capable workforce able to support both current military needs and future modernization programs that will further enhance Brazil's strategic autonomy.
When analysts consider whether Brazil could become South America's next military power, the domestic defense industry and international partnerships are key factors. Because a country that can produce its own advanced equipment, upgrade technology with foreign assistance, maintain operational readiness, and export products responsibly demonstrates both strength and independence, and this combination allows Brazil to make strategic decisions based on national interests rather than external pressures, reinforcing its position as a potential regional leader in defense and security matters.
Finally, the integration of domestic production and international partnerships allows Brazil to maintain a balanced approach to military development, ensuring that modernization programs, technological upgrades, and operational planning are all sustainable, responsible, and aligned with peaceful objectives. And this strategy strengthens the country's credibility in South America and internationally, positioning Brazil as a country capable of defending its sovereignty, participating in regional security cooperation, and projecting influence while respecting international norms and contributing to global stability.
Therefore, Brazil's growing domestic defense industry, combined with strategic partnerships with countries like the United States, France, and Sweden, creates a military structure that is modern, flexible, and increasingly independent. And these capabilities, along with ongoing investments in technology, personnel, and infrastructure, allow Brazil to expand its regional role, protect its territory, and maintain the ability to respond effectively to security challenges, which makes the country's military development an important topic for understanding both regional power dynamics and international defense trends. As we continue examining Brazil's emergence as a potential military and regional power, it is essential to understand that military strength is only one part of influence, because Brazil's role in South America is also shaped by diplomacy, international cooperation, economic leadership, and participation in peacekeeping operations. And by considering these factors, English learners can better understand how Brazil's rising capabilities impact regional stability, the behavior of neighboring countries, and the overall dynamics of South American politics in ways that are both strategic and peaceful, emphasizing the balance between power and responsibility in international relations.
Brazil has long played a leading role in South America because of its size, population, and economic strength, which naturally positions the country as a central actor in regional organizations such as Mercosur, the Union of South American Nations, and other diplomatic forums, and through these platforms, Brazil has been able to promote trade agreements, coordinate security policies, support development initiatives, and mediate disputes, demonstrating that leadership in the region requires not only military capability, but also political skill, collaboration, and a focus on mutual interests that benefit all member countries.
Another significant aspect of Brazil's regional influence is its participation in peacekeeping missions, particularly through the United Nations and other international organizations, because Brazil has historically contributed personnel, resources, and expertise to help resolve conflicts, protect civilians, and support the implementation of agreements in countries experiencing instability. And these efforts allow Brazil to demonstrate leadership, build trust with neighbors, and enhance its international reputation as a responsible actor committed to global and regional peace, while simultaneously strengthening its own defense experience through operational deployment and coordination.
Brazil's diplomatic efforts are also visible in its mediation between neighboring countries, where it acts as a neutral or stabilizing force to prevent conflicts and promote dialogue. And this approach helps maintain regional stability while reducing the risk of border disputes or economic interruptions, because Brazil's political, economic, and military influence encourages cooperative solutions. And neighbors often look to Brazil for leadership in areas such as disaster response, security coordination, environmental protection, and regional infrastructure development, which strengthens its role as a central hub for negotiation and collaboration.
Economic influence is another important element of Brazil's regional role because its trade volume, energy resources, agricultural production, and industrial capacity affect the entire South American market, and countries in the region often align policies or pursue partnerships that involve Brazil due to the opportunities it offers for economic growth, investment, and development. And this economic strength also reinforces Brazil's military and diplomatic influence, because a country that can support its neighbors financially and technologically gains credibility, leadership, and respect in regional affairs without resorting to force.
Brazil's rising military power complements these diplomatic and economic roles because a credible defense system reassures neighbors of stability while demonstrating that Brazil can protect itself and contribute to regional security. And this does not necessarily mean aggressive intent, because Brazil's strategy emphasizes cooperation, joint training exercises, and coordinated disaster response, which allows the country to exercise leadership responsibly while supporting initiatives that reduce risks, strengthen trust, and encourage long-term partnerships across South America.
In addition, Brazil's involvement in environmental protection and humanitarian missions across the region further enhances its influence, because the Amazon rainforest, shared rivers, and ecosystems extend beyond national borders, and Brazil's capacity to manage these resources sustainably, provide assistance during natural disasters, and collaborate with neighboring countries on environmental policy demonstrates that regional leadership involves more than military strength. It requires a comprehensive approach that combines security, diplomacy, economics, and social responsibility to create stability and shared prosperity.
Brazil's influence is also reinforced through strategic military exercises with neighboring countries, which help improve interoperability, share technical knowledge, and promote confidence between armed forces, because these exercises allow countries to observe Brazil's capabilities, develop joint operational strategies, and foster mutual understanding, while also demonstrating that Brazil's rising power can be used constructively as a force multiplier for regional safety rather than as a tool for unilateral dominance, which encourages peaceful cooperation across the continent.
Another important aspect of Brazil's regional influence is its ability to shape political discussions, because its economic and military capacity allows it to participate actively in multilateral forums, propose regional agreements, and support initiatives that aim to resolve conflicts, improve trade, and enhance security. And this ability to influence outcomes is strengthened by Brazil's reputation for professional, disciplined, and well-equipped military forces that back its diplomatic engagement, which provides credibility and reinforces the perception of Brazil as a reliable and capable regional leader.
Finally, when analysts evaluate Brazil's role in South America, they often consider how the combination of military modernization, defense industry growth, peacekeeping contributions, and economic leadership affects the behavior of neighbors, because countries observe Brazil's strength, preparedness, and strategic priorities, which can encourage regional cooperation, investment in joint initiatives, and alignment with broader goals for stability, security, and prosperity, demonstrating that rising power, when balanced with diplomacy and constructive engagement, can be a positive force in regional development and peacekeeping.
Therefore, Brazil's growing regional influence is not simply a reflection of military power. It is also the result of careful diplomacy, active participation in international and regional forums, contributions to peacekeeping missions, humanitarian efforts, environmental stewardship, and economic leadership, and by combining these elements, Brazil is increasingly seen as a central actor capable of guiding regional stability, supporting collective security, and exercising responsible leadership, which makes its rising power a subject of interest not only for South America, but also for global observers seeking to understand regional dynamics in a complex, interconnected world. As we continue exploring Brazil's potential as a regional and military power, it is important to understand that even with growing military strength, modernization, and regional influence, Brazil still faces significant challenges that affect its ability to fully realize its ambitions, because building a strong and autonomous defense system requires not only advanced technology and trained personnel, but also political stability, sustainable economic resources, effective governance, and public trust. And without addressing these challenges, even a well-equipped military may struggle to achieve its strategic goals while maintaining social and political legitimacy.
One of the major challenges Brazil faces is economic instability, because the country's GDP growth has fluctuated over the years, government debt has increased, and inflation has periodically affected public spending, which directly impacts defense budgets and the ability to sustain long-term modernization programs. And although Brazil has a large economy by regional standards, allocating sufficient funds for advanced military projects, research, and procurement, while also addressing health, education, and infrastructure needs, creates difficult choices for policymakers, limiting the speed and scale of military development.
Political instability is another factor that affects Brazil's path toward becoming a military superpower, because frequent changes in government, disagreements among political parties, and occasional social unrest can disrupt defense planning, delay procurement projects, and create uncertainty for long-term strategies. And military programs often require consistent policy support, multi-year funding, and strong leadership to succeed, which means that political turbulence can slow down modernization, reduce operational effectiveness, and limit the country's ability to project influence in a coordinated and sustainable way across South America.
Corruption is also a significant challenge in Brazil, because mismanagement of funds, bureaucratic inefficiency, and irregularities in government contracts have sometimes delayed or inflated the costs of military programs. And when public resources are not used effectively, it reduces trust in institutions, undermines morale, and limits the capacity to invest in cutting-edge technology or infrastructure, which is critical for maintaining a modern military force capable of protecting national security, supporting regional missions, and participating in international operations at a high level of competence.
Another barrier is the limitation of the defense budget relative to Brazil's ambitions, because while the country invests more in defense than most other South American nations, it still spends less than many major powers elsewhere in the world, and maintaining modern armies, navies, and air forces simultaneously requires substantial resources for equipment, personnel, training, maintenance, research, and development, and without sufficient financial capacity, Brazil may face trade-offs that prevent it from fully achieving technological parity with advanced military countries or rapidly expanding its capabilities to the level of a global superpower.
Brazil also faces structural challenges related to its size and geography, because defending a country with nearly half of South America's land area, vast forests, thousands of kilometers of rivers, and a long coastline is inherently expensive and complex. And while the Brazilian armed forces have specialized units and regional expertise, logistical difficulties, transportation costs, and the need for constant monitoring across remote regions make it difficult to maintain uniform readiness, which is a key factor that limits the speed and flexibility of military operations compared with smaller or more centralized nations.
Environmental concerns are another factor, because Brazil's responsibilities in the Amazon rainforest, rivers, and coastal ecosystems limit certain types of military activities, and the country must balance national security with environmental protection, sustainable resource use, and compliance with international agreements, which requires careful planning, specialized equipment, and trained personnel. And this balancing act demonstrates that military expansion cannot occur in isolation, but must consider social, ecological, and political factors that may slow the pace of growth.
Finally, analysts emphasize that while Brazil has the potential to become South America's leading military power, these economic, political, budgetary, social, and environmental challenges serve as significant barriers because overcoming them requires coordinated long-term strategies, transparent governance, stable funding, international cooperation, and domestic support. And until these issues are effectively addressed, Brazil may remain a regional leader in size and capability, but it will face limitations in achieving the level of influence, operational autonomy, and strategic projection typically associated with global superpowers.
Therefore, understanding Brazil's challenges is essential for anyone trying to evaluate the country's military potential realistically, because it shows that rising power is not only about having modern equipment, trained personnel, and strategic partnerships, but also about addressing internal limitations, ensuring sustainable development, and maintaining political stability. And by balancing ambition with responsibility, Brazil can continue to grow its influence while preparing to overcome obstacles that could otherwise limit its capacity to achieve long-term regional and international leadership. As we reach the final section of today's episode, it is important to reflect on everything we have discussed about Brazil's growing military capabilities and regional influence, because understanding these ideas helps us see the big picture of South American geopolitics, the importance of strategic planning, and the role of diplomacy and economics alongside military power. And by summarizing the key points, we can also highlight useful vocabulary, reinforce English comprehension, and help learners feel confident in both global knowledge and language skills.
Today we explored Brazil's geographic size, which gives the country strategic advantages in terms of borders, natural resources, and access to the South Atlantic. And we also looked at its military budget, modernization programs, and investments in Army, Navy, and Air Force capabilities, which show that Brazil is steadily improving its ability to defend its territory, protect resources, participate in regional missions, and collaborate internationally. And these topics introduced important vocabulary related to geography, defense, and international relations that learners can use in both conversation and reading comprehension.
We also examined Brazil's army strength, modernization programs, and domestic production of military equipment, which illustrate the country's focus on technological independence and operational readiness. And in discussing the Navy, we learned about submarines, blue water capabilities, and the protection of South Atlantic resources, all of which highlight key concepts of maritime strategy and global security, while the Air Force section introduced terms related to fighter jets, radar systems, international partnerships, and pilot training, showing how air power complements land and naval forces in achieving comprehensive defense readiness.
Brazil's defense industry and international partnerships were also important topics because they demonstrate how domestic production, exports, and collaborations with countries like the United States, France, and Sweden help Brazil gain autonomy, access advanced technology, and strengthen credibility. And this discussion included vocabulary for industry, technology transfer, international cooperation, and strategic planning, which can be useful for English learners interested in defense, business, or diplomatic contexts, as well as anyone who wants to read global news with a better understanding of technical terms.
We then explored Brazil's regional influence, highlighting its leadership in South America, peacekeeping missions, regional diplomacy, and cooperation with neighbors, which shows that rising power is not only about military strength, but also about responsible engagement, negotiation, and collaboration. And this section introduced words and phrases related to diplomacy, international organizations, regional stability, and multilateral cooperation, helping learners build language skills that are useful for discussing global politics, international relations, and cross-border initiatives in English.
It was also important to discuss the challenges Brazil still faces, including economic limitations, political instability, corruption, budget constraints, and social and environmental barriers, because understanding these obstacles gives a realistic perspective on military potential, while also introducing vocabulary such as infrastructure, governance, sustainability, and resource management, which helps learners describe complex situations, analyze problems, and express ideas about countries and policies in English, while reinforcing the habit of connecting language learning with real-world knowledge.
Throughout this episode, listeners not only learned about Brazil's military and regional role, but also practiced listening to clear, slow English that explains complex topics in simple terms, because combining language learning with current events helps learners improve comprehension, expand vocabulary, and gain confidence when encountering news articles, documentaries, or international reports. And understanding global developments also encourages curiosity, critical thinking, and the ability to discuss world affairs in English with clarity and professionalism.
To recap some of the most useful vocabulary from today's episode, we explored terms such as blue water capability, multi-role aircraft, strategic autonomy, peacekeeping missions, defense modernization, technology transfer, and regional diplomacy. And by listening to these words in context, learners can better remember their meanings, use them in conversations, and apply them when reading international news, writing essays, or participating in discussions about global security, while also connecting English learning with relevant, meaningful content from the real world.
Finally, reflecting on today's lesson, we hope that listeners understand not only the facts about Brazil's military growth and regional influence, but also the value of following global news in English, because keeping up with international events improves listening comprehension, vocabulary retention, and critical thinking, while also helping learners communicate confidently with people from different countries, read newspapers and websites accurately, and discuss topics related to geography, defense, politics, and economics with a broader perspective that combines language skills and knowledge.
Before we end, we would like to remind all listeners that learning English through real-world topics is both practical and enjoyable, because it allows you to connect language study with interesting subjects such as international security, regional diplomacy, and economic challenges. And by following long, structured lessons like this, learners can develop patience, focus, and consistency, which are essential for mastering English while also gaining insights into global affairs that are relevant for students, professionals, travelers, and curious minds who want to understand how the world works.
So, as we conclude this detailed discussion about Brazil, we encourage you to review the vocabulary, reflect on the key points, and consider how understanding global events can enrich your English learning journey, because combining careful listening, comprehension, and analysis strengthens both your language skills and your awareness of world affairs. And by taking a step-by-step approach, learners can gradually build confidence, connect ideas, and participate in conversations about international topics with clarity, professionalism, and an informed perspective.
Thank you very much for joining us on the English Globe today, because your attention, curiosity, and dedication to learning English through real-world examples are what make this channel meaningful. And we hope that this long, detailed podcast has provided you with both practical language skills and a deeper understanding of Brazil's military potential, regional influence, and the challenges it faces. And as you continue your studies, remember to combine listening, vocabulary practice, and reflection on global news to strengthen your English in ways that are informative, engaging, and fully educational.
We appreciate your commitment to learning, your participation in the comments section, and your support of our channel, and we hope you feel motivated to continue exploring global topics while improving your English step by step, because combining education, careful analysis, and language practice is the most effective way to grow as a learner, develop critical thinking, and gain a broader perspective on the world. And we look forward to guiding you through more engaging, informative, and professionally structured episodes in the future.